questioning the legitimacy of elections that you may lose, or trying to stop the votes of people who may vote against you? That's not what we do here in America.
So, Johnny,
that's what happens in banana republics.
He has single-handedly and with a great determination sought to undermine every institution in this country that we depend on. And if you go through the scope of history, the reason leaders do this is to take and gather power and become authoritarian.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, enough. Stop. Okay, just stop. When an entire system, let me just point this out, because I like everybody to see both sides. So I'm trying to teach the mainstream media something here. When an entire system is stacked against you, you're just supposed to roll over? What do you do? Expect him to go out there and praise Robert Mueller when in his mind and in his heart he believes he did nothing wrong? Is he supposed to say, "Oops, mainstream media, you're right. I'm just going to retire now"? Is he supposed to say, "Fine, open the floodgates, bring them all in, thousands of migrants that want to come here. Why not just allow all of Latin America to come here while we're at it"? You've got people wanting to stampede our borders, and according to the mainstream media, it's somehow discriminatory to not allow them in. Or in Florida, after an election was called, is the president not supposed to ask questions about how 93,000 votes just suddenly show up? I mean, some in the back of an Avis rental car. And the woman in charge of counting the votes has had this troubled history as an election supervisor. These are all logical reactions. You know, I get that his style isn't always what some in the mainstream media want, and that's just the way it is. But you got to think sometimes about substance, right? It's the point that I always make about how we have to think about policy. Policy is important. What is the economic policy that's going to drive us forward? What is it that we can do to keep us safe? In this case, the substance is legit. He wants legal immigration. What's wrong with that? He wants to prevent voter fraud. What's wrong with that? And he believes there's no there with Mueller. Isn't he entitled to have an opinion? You know, the mainstream and the left-wing media, they need to get a grip, because I'll tell you, after a while, they all just start sounding like Chicken Little. The sky's falling, the sky's falling. It's not. But these pundits do not care. They do not care about history. I hate the way they throw around history, all these historical references, like they actually know something about history. They don't. They don't understand history. The only thing they understand is ratings. Joining me right now, the director of Media Research Center, Tim Graham. Tim, I'm just sickened by the lack of responsibility among so many of my colleagues at these other networks. It really irritates me, and I was a history major in school and still consider myself a bit of a historian. I mean, hey, I'm living the front lines of history here every night, right? But they throw out these historical references which make no sense, these analogies that make no sense, but somehow are scary enough to have people thinking that, my goodness, this president is somehow, you know, the next Adolf Hitler in the making. Your thoughts?
This is something that maybe you could say this in 2016 before he's elected. We've had almost 2 years of actual governing reality. And as yet, there are no concentration camps. There is no Holocaust. There is
Isn't it kind
no
of insulting
World War III.
to history? Isn't it insulting to the millions of people that lost their lives? Isn't it insulting as we celebrate Veterans Day this week to all those that died trying to defend our nation and Europe? I mean, for the likes of Joe Scarborough to repeatedly invoke these Hitler references, or, you know, the other guy, Joe Lockhart, over there on CNN talking about authoritarian regimes and dictatorships, etc. I mean, they're going down a slippery slope.
Well, and again, these are the networks that would say, we're facts first. We're the people that bring you the real news, not like Fox. Fox is state-run media. And the reality is that they don't deal in facts. They don't deal in trying to report what is Broward County doing, who is Brenda Snipes, what is her record.
I think that these are fair questions to be asking, and we should be asking, because it's about the importance and the sanctity of our electoral process and our election system. Let me show you Speaking of crazy mainstream media types, let me show you this clip of one of those folks. Here we go.
In the sad event he does run, and he does lose, which would be a happy event, it would be stunning what we would see. He would be a president going, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Can call the military. I mean, it is that. We have to look at this man. He really would do that. He would say, no, 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 this is voters. I'm still here. And even if they carried him out, he would turn to 50 million Americans and say, I'm still your president. And this is my new government. This is what we're dealing with.
You know, I kind of half thought he was joking, but I don't think he is, Tim. Your response.
This is, there were certain people that thought Barack Obama was not going to cede power at the end of his 8 years, and they would have said those are kooky people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and yet MSNBC says this is what we consider an expert. I mean, it is a cuckoo conspiracy theory.
It's cuckoo conspiracy theory. I like that. We can coin that term. Maybe we'll start to use that. The cuckoos out there in mainstream media land. Tim, good to see you. Thank you so much. Coming up, everyone, Republican Brian Kemp holding a solid lead in Georgia's gubernatorial race, but a judge says the state cannot certify the results until the state reviews all provisional ballots.